social media and online defamation. Learn about legal issues related to online defamation and cyber libel on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Yelp. By David Gogan, J.D., University of San Francisco School of Law. As of 2024, a big majority of Americans use some type of social media. The dramatic rise in social media use has resulted in an increased risk of online defamation. Defamation happens when someone makes a false statement about you, verbally or in writing, that damages your reputation. Verbal defamation is called slander. Written defamation is called libel. Learn more about libel versus slander, different types of defamation. Libel is considered in context. If a writer describes an athlete as a pimp in a glowing profile in a magazine, it probably isn't libel. In the context of the profile, the writer is likely complimenting the athlete, not accusing the athlete of a crime. Slander is the communication of a false statement about someone by spoken word or gesture that harms that person's reputation. In this article, we'll take a look at the definition of online defamation and how to prove it. We'll also review a couple of examples of online defamation and discuss how and why you might want to file a defamation lawsuit. For a deep dive into defamation laws, check out Nolo's collection of articles of defamation, libel, and slander. What is online defamation? Defamation law has evolved over hundreds of years, with courts trying to balance one's freedom of expression against another person's right to defend their reputation. The internet has allowed more free speech than ever before and more opportunities to trash someone's character with a post or comment. Traditional defamation cases involve newspaper articles, magazines, letters to the editor, and television and radio broadcasts. Online defamation happens on various platforms, including Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, Reddit, Yelp, and other review sites and blogs. Defamation is a civil wrong called a tort in most states. You can sue someone for money over it. But harassment and cyberbullying are crimes that can lead to jail or a prison sentence. How do you prove online defamation? Each state has its own defamation laws, but the basic principles are the same no matter where you file your lawsuit. A plaintiff suing for online defamation typically must show that the defendant made a false statement. And that's the key. That's the key right there. It's not defamation if you're telling the truth. It's defamation if you're telling a lie. So what Mike Gill and Michelle Moore have done to a man named Brent Long, who goes by the YouTube channel Man O Truth, is openly and flagrantly accused him of being another person who was on the run from the law. This poor man was on his deathbed a few months ago. It seems he's come out of it. But he had the cops come to his house because of that video. Guy Brummel, or Gerald Brummel, who used to go by the name Margaritaville, is a man in Canada. Regardless of whether he's a grifter or what, went to jail because he was trying to protect his daughter. That's what he told over and over. And he confronted many government officials. I don't know if he broke the law in any other way. I'm not privy to all that information. But Mike Gill, who Michelle Moore hosts on her channel a lot, openly said that he was a satanic pedophile who raped and beat his own daughter. And that's why he was on the run. He also had a bogus list of people from between 10, 15 years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years on some of them, that I recognized immediately because I had either known or heard of many of these people. In fact, I was on that list one time. He claimed that that list was made by General Michael Flynn, and it was Flynn's satanic pedophile list. So there's a whole lot of slander going on right there. That these two, Michelle Moore and Mike Gill, could be prosecuted for. So if anybody sees this, they need to let Michelle know, since both of them have blocked me, simply for trying to point out these flagrant lies and slander against more than one person. So we got, whatever Mike Flynn is, I'm not a fond of him. I've been exposing him as well for other things. That was not his list. And the video that they showed, and both of them said out loud that the man in that video was Gerald Brummel, or Guy Brummel, on the run from Canada into Utah, when it was just an older guy that lives in Utah that was walking around without showing his face, who ended up having the police come to his home. He was able to explain what happened, but that had to have been hard on him. So these people need to retract their statements and take that video down. Because Michelle, on her Rumble channel, has over 40,000 viewers. So I hope you get this message, Michelle. I mean, I'm not going to bring charges against you. I wasn't one of the, well, kind of I was, because I, at one time, later on, was put on that list by Timothy Charles Homseth. So I'm going to finish reading this. Or the statement was made to someone other than the plaintiff, or the statement harmed the plaintiff's reputation, and the defendant was negligent, careless about whether the statement was true or false. So all of those things Mike and Michelle are guilty of. Public figures like politicians and celebrities have to show more than negligence. Public figures have to show that the defendant acted with actual malice. Actual malice means the defendant made a false statement knowing it was a false or with reckless disregard for the truth of the statement. Now, Michelle may have been ignorant, which just means she didn't know. It don't mean she's crazy or anything like that. It just meant that she was ignorant of the facts, but was taking Mike Gill's word for it, which was irresponsible on her side, because she is a public figure, and she claims to be a researcher, so she should have checked that out before she ever put it on her channel. Sometimes I spend a week or 2 weeks or 2 months working on a video because I try to check all the background information first. And I don't just come out and say, so-and-so raped his daughter. There's the proof. And then they used, they didn't have the picture on there. I showed the video of it with the father's permission of the little girl that they were assuming was Guy Brummel's daughter. So Michelle may have been ignorant of that fact and just taking the bloviating words of Mike Gill. But Mike knew. He knew he was making it up out of his head. Defamation is harder to prove than it may seem at first glance. Remember, the statement has to be a false statement of fact. Many defendants argue that what they said about the plaintiff wasn't defamatory because it was true, or that it was an opinion and not a fact. Well, Mike Gill didn't say it was an opinion. He said, this is what it is, and here's the proof. A defendant might also argue that the plaintiff's reputation was already so bad that the defendant didn't harm it. Okay. I'm just going to let you read the rest of this. Now, an example here was the lawsuit brought by several different men including Craig Sawyer, Doug Hagman, Steve Quayle. I think there was 4 different ones that brought charges against Daniel John Lee and included Timothy Homseth and Randy Erickson in that lawsuit, which I narrated and put on my website. And they won I think it was a $5 million lawsuit. It may have not been that. It's been a while since I did that, so I'm not saying for sure. So I don't know if they ever got any money out of him, but I think they helped shut him up. So their professional reputations were harmed. So that's why they received that much. Special damages are compensation for the financial harm caused by defamatory remarks, including damage to a plaintiff's professional reputation. For example, they say you're an actor like Johnny Depp who lost out on acting roles and endorsements after your ex-wife accused you of abuse. You can sue your ex-wife for defamation, as Depp did, and get compensation for your lost income and business opportunities. You can ask for compensation for defamation-related out-of-pocket expenses, like therapy bills, online content removal, and moving expenses. And then these are the general damages, which would include intangible losses like pain and suffering. Punitive damages. This shows where do I file a defamation lawsuit. Don't delay in gathering evidence. I screenshot just about everything. If you wait too long, you risk losing what you need to prove your claim. If this statement is false, remember truth is a defense to defamation. It is defamatory. Falsely accusing someone of a crime in writing is so obviously damaging to a person's reputation that it requires no further proof of harm. And what Mike Gill did was blatantly defame